You're listening to Chicago Stories, a podcast from City Hall featuring the stories of everyday Chicagoans, as told to Mayor Rahm Emanuel.
This is Mayor Rahm Emanuel with Chicago Stories with Anthony Moseley from Collaboraction, a great theater company here in the city of Chicago. And more than just a theater company, it actually engages some tough issues and asks us to do it in an interesting way. Anthony, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here with you, Mayor.
I want to talk not about you. How did you feel as a husband having Sandra up on Rushmore? This is, for those that don't know, we just unveiled a beautiful mural by Carrie James Marshall, and it's on the west wall of the Cultural Center, and it's all about the 20 women that changed the cultural landscape of the city of Chicago. So I know you thought we were going to talk about you.
Well, as you
since both of us married up, tell me what it's like. Tell me, like, say, having a fact.
As you know, behind every great woman is a very lucky man trying to keep up.
Yes, no doubt.
And so,
didn't she just finish a play?
She wrote a play called La Habana Madrid.
Right.
And that show recreated a Latin jazz club that was at Belmont and Sheffield in the 60s, and it was a refuge for Latinx families to go hear the music from their countries, because they would bring in touring music and bands from Cuba.
And where's her family from?
Colombia, Medellin. So her family came over in 65, and she recreated the club. She wrote the piece. She was the narrator, and she fronted a 6-piece salsa cumbia band and sang classic ballads. The show sold out at the Steppenwolf Garage. The whole run sold out before they loaded into the theater. Then she went to the Miracle Center in Hermosa with support from the Chicago Community Trust and the Joyce Foundation. And then she went to the Owen Theater at the Goodman.
How many times do I tell the booker we got the wrong member of the family?
So you got that one right. She might say the same thing.
How did you guys meet?
Oh, that's a good story. I was
how did two theater people handle the one roof, man? Is the space big enough?
You know, well, you met our daughter.
Right.
And
well, no, she does. That is not precocious doesn't quite capture the essence of that child, which you've done well on, man.
She's wise, and she's got a big heart.
Wise beyond her years.
Yeah,
already.
she is, and she cares. You know.
So how'd you guys meet?
So I was a finance major at the University of Notre Dame. I graduated in 1995. I moved to Chicago. I got a job with the Chicago Bulls, selling program advertisements and urinal advertisements.
They may need you to go back this season.
Yeah,
okay.
They do.
In a different function.
I got a 3-point shot. And I had what I call my first quarter life crisis. I was miserable. And I said, what am I going to do with my life? You know, I was a finance major. I thought I'm going to go make my first $10 million, and then I'll be happy and figure it out. You know, and I realized I had it all backwards. And I read too much Deepak Chopra, and I decided I was going to pursue my passion, which has always been people, events, sharing art and stories, so that we can appreciate being alive and figure out how we can build more equity and more celebrations for those that don't have the gifts that I was given. And so I became an actor. I went through a 10-month training program at the Stephen Ivich Studio, and one night, a friend from I was working at Cafe Babariba. Oh, no, I'm sorry. My wife was working at Cafe Babariba. I was working as a barista at the Fine Arts Building.
You couldn't remember who had what job?
I ended up at Babariba. I ended up there. But she was working there, and I was working at the Fine Arts Cafe as the barista on Michigan Avenue. My friend from Notre Dame said
for the movies?
Yeah.
Okay, so I used to go to the movies when that was that was a great movie.
I was there. This was 95, 96.
I think I was a big tipper for you that night.
Oh yeah. I remember this. And my friend brought Sandra. She said, "What are you doing tonight?" She said, "Nothing. I'm going out with some guys. Why don't you come over, meet these guys? I think you'll like Anthony." I get in around 11 o'clock. They've been hanging out, waiting for me to get home. I see her. It was love at first sight. I planted myself right next to her on the couch, and I knew this was the most important interview of my life. We get ready to all head out, and my friend says, I'm sick. And Sandra says, well, I'm still going to I'm thinking I'm going to go out with these guys. I just met them, but I like them. So we go to the old Blue Note on Armitage, and they had the best jukebox back there in the back. And we get to the spot. My two friends that I was with also were interested in young Miss Delgado. So I sent one of them to the bar to go get drinks. I sent the other one to go check our coats. And I said,
slipped
Sandra,
out the back door?
No, I said, can I have this dance? Because I'm a great dancer. So I get her on the dance floor, and while I'm spinning her.
So you went to your strong suit.
Yeah, I just got her on the dance floor.
Right. Then you figured from there you can make this work.
Well, now I got her
Your
one-on-one.
wingmen are out on the wings.
My
on the far end.
competition are out.
Yeah.
And so we're dancing, and I said, "What do you want to do with your life?"
Dancing.
She says, "I never told anybody." And this is while we're dancing. She goes, "I never told anybody." I said, "Well, this would be
For all the people that are listening, he just kind of imitated what the dancing looked like. Okay,
I was spinning her. I know how to lead.
I just want to give them the visuals because it doesn't tell the story that well.
Men, learn how to lead on a dance floor. It will serve you well, because only like 10% of guys know how to lead.
You're talking to a former belly dancer.
I know.
I'm there, brother.
You know what I mean? We immediately, we're here.
Right.
So I said, "Come on." She says, "I never told anybody." I said, "Well, this would be a great time to tell somebody right now, where you're having this, amazing moment with me on the dance floor." She says,
"You don't lack any confidence here, brother."
Hey, I learned long ago that
we got to get to Collaboraction. Hurry up on the date, will you?
She says, "I want to sing and dance." I say, "What are you waiting for?" She decided to pursue her passion as well. And there we were, two young Chicagoans pursuing our dreams together. And
all right, I want to know one thing. On the rest of the night, did you have any chance that you were going to lose her to the either Mr. Drinkman?
So at 4 in the morning when we dropped her off, I asked for her number. No, there was no chance. I had it.
You had from the first song?
Yeah,
any other songs dancing?
I had it from the.
How many songs did you dance?
Maybe 5.
How many did anybody of the others?
No.
So you had all 5.
Yeah.
You went 5 for 5.
I went 5 for 5.
If I had her on the show, would she say the same thing as you just said?
Yeah, she would say the moment he walked
Sandra
in the
next
room.
week. I want her on the show right now.
And now she's on a mural. You know, so her on that mural.
It's got to be exciting. Right?
It's great, and it's like Carrie said, individuals become institutions, and they help pull up other individuals. So he's done this for her, and now she's going to do it for many other young Latinas who are looking for themselves in Chicago's culture.
So tell me how you came up with, because it's a normal trajectory from the finance office of the Chicago Bulls to Collaboraction and dealing with racial healing and social justice and arts. And I'm excited about this because of you're part of our nights out in the park throughout all the neighborhoods to bring free art, whether that's murals to theater. How did you come up with Collaboraction, and give me the most exciting project you think to date you guys have worked on that really got to why you decided to make this change in your career?
So my first quarter life crisis got me into arts. 15 years later, I had accomplished a lot of dreams. I've been on directed shows at the Goodman and Steppenwolf. I've done TV shows, Prison Break, Mob Doctor. I did a film with Zac Efron and Dennis Quaid. We had a condo.
Which film was that?
At Any Price, Ramin Barani, who was the one with Zac Efron as a car figure 8.
Right.
Yeah, I was the NASCAR recruiter, if you go check that film out.
Okay.
And it's shot out in DeKalb, like 2 summers ago. We had accomplished a lot of our dreams that we didn't think were a reality. We're both the first working artists in our family's history. We had no role models. We didn't know that we could do it until we did it. And but then it just wasn't enough. Just being an artist wasn't enough. The cell phone and the laptop have become the realm of storytelling, and theater can't compete with the storytelling that they can provide. But where we can do something that digital media can't do is bring people in a room together, use the power of theater to erase ignorance, replace it with knowledge, and build that muscle of empathy and get people to really broaden their perspective and be inspired and motivated to first have dialogue and hopefully take action. So I decided that for my second quarter life crisis, I was going to change the vision of my work and start making sacred theater about our most critical social issues to try to incite change, equity, create personal epiphanies and communal transformation. And the first project I did after thinking about this, I had been a little close to some violence that happened in the city.
When was that?
Well, Natasha McShane and Stacy Jurek getting hit with the baseball bat on Damon Avenue, the young ladies going into the coma. And this was in 2013 after the homicides went over 500 for the first time. And I said, I was able to take my own blinders off and start to feel the pain of first the victims of violence and then the perpetrators of violence. And I learned things like hurt people hurt people. And I began to create a piece of theater about the root cause of violence. And that show was Crime Scene, a Chicago Anthology, which is a docudrama about the root cause of violence. We had 8 sold-out weeks at our space in the Flatiron, and then we were lucky enough to be part of the inaugural Nights Out in the Parks tour, and now this...
this was a concept Michelle Boone, Mike Kelly, and I came up, and do you think it's worked? I mean, for you guys? I mean, don't just because we came up with it. I think it's been a great way to energize our parks and energize the art community to come in, and then people in one part of the city seeing artists from a total different culture and experience. But to be honest, tell me.
Oh, it's been transformational for me as an artist and for Collaboration as a company. I mean, you have beautiful, underutilized facilities, and you have the greatest theater, performing arts city of the Americas. We'll just put it there.
I would say the galaxy.
Yeah, I would too.
Okay, I don't know why you're limiting us to this side of the hemisphere.
I haven't been over there. I heard they have good theater in Asia. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, it's been incredible, and I believe that the spirit and the storytelling and the creativity and the comedy and personality of Chicagoans is our greatest natural asset.
Can I press you on something? You said that you do think theater could compete with the iPhone and the iPad.
In regards to just the ability to tell a story.
You really think that? I mean, you're in the I don't want to say business because it's an art. You're in the craft of theater. I actually think, if anything, those mediums circumvent actually the ability to tell a story.
But they have an advantage in the delivery method. You can watch, The Wire in your bathroom on your phone, right? And we really need people to make a choice, travel, and come to us. So we get a seeker. You never have a great conversation with the person next to you at the movie theater. But you can meet somebody next to you.
I don't know. I usually yell at the people talking behind me.
Exactly. And if you try to say, if you go, hey, that was a great movie, they look at you like you're from outer space.
Yeah, but don't you think, I mean, this is your space, not mine, but as somebody who just went to the theater last weekend at The Gift, and Amy and I just celebrated to help the Gift Theater from Jefferson Park, and I think Michael does a fabulous job.
He's very talented.
I actually think the power, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure I buy that.
Maybe
you can reach more people.
It's a scale thing as well. We can touch people deeper.
Right.
And
given the topics you dedicated yourself, you're not just touching anything. You're touching race. You're touching violence. You're touching bridging communities of understanding. My attitude is theater is I'm not sure the iPhone, not to take on the iPhone, but the smartphone is the medium of the day.
Storytelling, I think, can be a shallow. When I say the word storytelling,
I got it.
I'm talking about a shallow off media. What we're doing in the theater and what the Gift is doing is actually leaving a fingerprint on somebody's soul and changing the way they see the world forever.
100% agree.
So, maybe it's semantic, but what we're trying to do is use this natural asset that the city has in abundance and bring it to serve our biggest issues. And, you and I, we didn't create 200 years of segregation, but in 50 years, people are going to look back at you and I and everybody in Chicago in 2017 and say, what did they do about it? And for us, this is what I can do best. Use the talents that I've been able to cultivate and bring together, and then focus them on the city.
Let me ask you,
and all that.
When you look at recruiting an artist, an actor or actress, what do you look for? I can tell you about dance. Not that I've done that recruitment, but if somebody's trying to figure out a schedule right now to go see Twyla Tharp this weekend, what do you look for in a performer?
The first thing I'm looking for is an open heart. Mm-hmm. And someone who has the ability and willingness to share themselves. Mm-hmm. I believe any piece of art is only as good as the artist's ability and willingness to share themselves. So I'm looking for people that are built and ready to share. Within that spectrum of craft and talent, that plays a part of it, and how effective that communication will be. But if you don't have somebody who's really willing and able to share their pain, their hopes, their dreams, then we can't get deep with our audience. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm also looking for dreamers. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for people who believe that through their own imagination and history, we can change the future. I think that, I've been thinking about violence and racism in Chicago, and I think that time travel would be ideal, right? Like if we could go back in time and make a couple changes, and maybe their redlining idea wasn't the best, and maybe we could have stopped the race riot of 1919 before it happened, but we know we can't time travel backwards. But we can't time travel forwards. So I like to look at my work now, like I said, looking at it from a perspective of the future, looking back, and looking at how the decisions that we make when we create the work and the way we create it, who we create it with is maybe the most important thing these days, because technology has given us the opportunity to meet the new, undiscovered talent in Englewood and Austin who maybe didn't have the avenues to get their open heart in front of the city.
You're going into one of the parks, Lafayette in Austin, that we announced, I think 3 years ago, our night out in the parks. So interesting.
I was there with you.
Yes, it's a beautiful park.
Amazing.
Yes. What I always tell people, so we have about, call it 1,200 events in the summer. We've never had an incident. And I always tell people, it's not an accident when you bring people together to experience, whether it's music, film, theater, dance, any cultural type of interchange, that you're not going to. We have never ever experienced an incident.
I believe it.
And we go to all parts of the city.
We've had such a positive experience in all these parks. And the thing for me on a personal level is these are my parks now. These are the parks. When I think of what I'm going to do, these are in my portfolio. I am friends with the supervisors and the staff of these parks. And I have a story I tell. I have a mentor who's a great guy. He's in biotech. And he was going to come to Peace Book at La Follette Park. And about 3 days before, he goes, Anthony, I have to admit, I told some friends where I was going. I looked it up on the map, and I made other plans. I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but I was scared to go to La Follette Park. And I said, Harry, thank you for sharing that with me. It's important that you said that out loud. That weekend at the post-show discussion, at the pre-show of the event, I said, I had a friend, a white guy, middle upper class. He was going to come to the park, and he called me and let me know he was scared to come. And I want that to sit with everybody. Look around this room. As soon as the production was over, standing ovation, there's a white guy about my friend's age in the back. And I said, does anybody have anything they want to say? Because we always do a conversation. Right. The work is a catalyst for that conversation. And that conversation is the main course and the thing that actually cultivates change. He raises his hand. I said, yes, sir. He grabbed the microphone from me. He came up. He said, I was scared to come here today, but I've been proven wrong by every encounter I've had with all these beautiful people in this beautiful park, and I want to apologize. And there was a bunch of 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds sitting on the floor in the front row. He said, I want to apologize because I had it all wrong. and I won't think that anymore. And that's an example of what we're trying to do, because if you don't go spend time with people.
Well, see, so you're touching on my thing. You know how we always talk about, kids that don't know they have a lake in the city?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
They don't know. They haven't been to the lake. They haven't been to the museum. They haven't seen, they haven't been on an elevator.
Yeah.
I said, well, guys, traffic also reverses the other way. We have people from other parts of the city couldn't find Englewood, Austin, or Woodlawn,
Yep.
even if you gave them a GPS system.
And we have white Chicagoans whose families grew up in Englewood that haven't been back there.
Yeah, I mean, part of this, like anything, is not just breaking down, but finding that the foundation is more solid of common aspirations. And sometimes I think the media doesn't help people find the language for common ground.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'll give you an example. I think they only show up in Englewood if there's a shot, either a basketball or a gunshot, and there's so much more going on in that community.
Lots of great things happening in Englewood right now.
Yeah, I mean, and the city's a part of that, and then basically it's been at the urging of the residents. A lot of good things happening in Woodlawn, Pullman, and so in that effort. Tell me, what are you working on right now?
So we have two really exciting projects coming up. In January, we're doing the Encounter Festival. It's a mixed medium festival about racial healing in Chicago, 26 different pieces of dance, theater, spoken word, and music, all in our 3 spaces in the Flatiron Arts Building in Wicker Park. And then we tour to Hamilton Park with a 1-day program and soup and bread, and then to Kelvin Park, and then to La Follette. So we'll be going back to the same parks.
So your old stomping grounds.
Yeah, to our spots.
Okay. Now, we got to make sure that everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that you're working not only with the Park District but the libraries and the schools, so they're promoting it.
Fantastic.
Okay.
All the programming is free in the parks.
Right. I know that. I'm 100%.
You made that happen.
Right. I know it's free.
I just want to make sure our listeners know.
Yeah, the listeners know. And the mayor knows that it's all free. 1,200 events, and there's 7 a night in the summer. Anywhere in the city, all you got to do is bring your lawn chair that you use in the winter for dibs, to make sure that people know that that's your space, and that's all your price of entry or a blanket.
And I don't know if you know this, but we have a great relationship with AV Chicago. I think they did all the AV for the mayor's climate change event.
Yes.
So those guys, they give us free lighting and sound for all of our nights out in the park stuff. So we bring in high quality gear.
So here's one thing I'm going to leave you with. Not one thing, but we have a couple things. Is we have in the budget we recently passed. We eliminated the amusement tax for smaller theater entities and music venues, and we're going to put another $2 million towards arts education for kids. Okay, so we are also separate initiative. We're at about 31,000 kids in our summer jobs, but almost 26 to 29,000 of those kids work for the city, Park District, library, etc. I want you to think about being a sponsor of some of the kids. We'll pay them, work for you. Well, there's building sets, whatever.
We need them, and we would love to have them. We do have a great youth program.
Right. I mean, I want you. So we're going to be specifically funding youth and arts, $2 million out of the amusement tax reforms.
Year Creative Youth.
Yes. Well, we had our mutual friend Amanda Williams didn't want to do it. Ended up now as a zealot full-time summer employee of our summer jobs. It was a great program for you, and it's great for the kids. So and it's going to be in your alley. I also think getting our kids from different parts of the city working together is essential for actually the spirit of what Collaboraction is trying to do.
Yeah, and we're doing that with After School Matters. We have a youth program called the Peacemakers. And amazing thing about our Nights Out in the Park partnership with the Park District, we first started touring Crime Scene. We had a festival called Sketchbook we did for 15 years. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No, tell me about it.
It was world premiere plays of 7 minutes or less, visual art and music. Started at the Chopin Theater.
No wonder you're jealous of the smartphone technology, 7 minutes or less, and you just want to figure out. I think there's some other deep psychological resentment here going on.
No, I'm ADHD, OCD, like all the other great artists before me.
Yeah.
But so that program, Crime Scene,
Right.
the Sketchbook, then led to Peacebook, and basically we took Crime Scene and Sketchbook and we put them under, and it reincarnated as Peacebook. And with the pieces touring the city, starting at the Goodman. And what's happened now is, because of those relationships we built in Englewood, Austin, and Hermosa, we got some of those artists to come to the Goodman Theater and be on the Goodman Theater stage. We did a 7-hour marathon with 235 artists, and they all got to meet each other, commingle, and then travel to the. So that's been a real amazing transformation that's been happening inside of our house as part of Nights Out in the Park.
How'd you get the Flatiron, man? I'm kind of. Can I make that my Northwest office?
Yeah, you should come on by. We have.
That is a beautiful building.
It's really cool, and we have three theaters on the 3rd floor over there now.
3 now.
3, yeah. We have
I didn't know that.
You have to come over for an encounter. We have an 80 seat, a 70 seat, and a 55 seat, and that's also.
Thank God that was our cutoff for the amusement tax reduction.
Yeah, thank you. And I also want to mention our world premiere in April, that we had our first night of workshop that I'm the lead writer and director on. It's called A Blue Island in the Red Sea. And this show is a docudrama device piece about the reality of racism in Chicago and envisioning racial healing. The first act is called the Chicago Museum of Racism. So if Chicago had a museum of racism, what would it look like? And what if we adapted that to the stage? So we're going to go through a lot of the key things that have happened in our history that have put us at this point today. The second act, I'm going to have a very diverse cast. We're going to have each cast member tell their personal family tree story, where their great-grandparents came from, how they got to be the Chicagoans they are today. And then the third act will be a play. It'll be a fictional tale that will be a metaphor for racial relations in Chicago and envisioning racial healing. A big part of that is getting everyone to have a shared truth of what's actually happened in the city, so we can move beyond that and start envisioning bringing people together.
So, did you study professionally after you had your epiphany that you had a midlife crisis at a very early age of 25?
I went through a 10-month professional studio program called the Stephen Ivich Studio at North and Honore in '96. I'm pretty much self-taught writer, director, actor,
Impressive.
Dancer.
Thank you. No, I'm not. I'm reserving judgment on the dance part, okay?
But I MC a dance battle tournament in a geodesic dome. We do it at Kidsapalooza every year.
I'm ready to give you. Well, I'm done running for re-election or anything. I'll then do the dance floor, okay? Not until that time.
Okay, all right.
The one time I started dancing, a little moment at something at Chicago in an event. Somebody put it on YouTube, and it was like 25,000. So I said, forget it.
Barack can dance, he can sing, and you can.
I want to. I'm holding back until we're done. Okay.
You let me know.
But I'll give you writer. I'll give you actor. I'll give you director. I'm not conceding the ground on dance yet. Okay. I don't have any of those other things. But you.
I'm surprisingly fresh.
I could tell.
Thank you.
On the fresh part. I now know where your daughter gets it from.
Yeah, she can move too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's.
Well, so if we're gonna do this, so my younger daughter, the youngest, 17, dances for Visceral, great dance company in Chicago, and Nick, who runs it, does a great job. So that's the good news is and this actually does tell you.
Are you doing? Is this a father-daughter challenge that's happening?
Mano to mano right now. It's a throw down.
Turn the cameras off.
All right, got to be quick, and don't sit there and say, "Can I say both?"
But wait, I thought you were in the middle of complimenting me about how did I get like this.
I was, but I decided to pull back because you went over the line on the dance part.
My bad. Okay. Let's go. Move forward.
You're right. You did a throw down in front of the mayor on dance like you were better, and I'm not ready to concede that ground, and I'm a little upset about it. And so you were about to get that you were really great. It is impressive that without quote unquote professional training, outside of maybe your MBA, you decided to go into theater and dance, and then have been this successful at Collaboraction.
Thank you.
And then you had to go over the line and say something about dance.
That's what I do.
Okay, just how many times does Sandra say, just stop before you go to the next line? How many times did she say that? Did she ever say that? Be honest.
That's why
right now.
I think that's why she loves me. She loves me. Because even if I go,
I think it's a love-hate.
No. She thinks I'm hilarious.
Yeah,
So
I'm
clearly that's why she loves me.
Yeah, clearly. Okay, real quick.
Yes.
Thick or thin pizza?
Thick.
16-inch, 12-inch softball.
16-inch. Collaboration as a team in the Chicago Theater Softball
I
League.
see.
We will win next year. We're on
How'd you do last
upswing.
year?
We made it to the semis, but
Was that the first time you made it to the semi?
no, we made it to the semis like 10 years ago. So we're on our way back.
Okay. Good recruit. Do we recruit actors and actresses based on softball talents?
We do.
We put it in the resume?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Right. We have auditions for
Lake or
softball.
river? Yeah, you got to go. You got to put
Lake, but I have a thing for the river that's
No,
really
see, that's
exciting.
what, you can't do that.
Lake, sorry.
Okay. Hancock or Sears?
Hancock.
Cubs or Sox?
Cubs.
Impressive. Okay. Yeah, you are. I will just say I want you to know the river is slightly trending. Okay?
I know.
It is now. It used to be 16. I've had some people who are not from Chicago, 16, 12 inch. They're like, are you talking to me? But, what is that? So you have to describe the question for them.
I've had so many spiritual experiences in the
river's
lake.
trending.
In the lake, as soon as I get one, and I had a spiritual experience by the river last Saturday night with the moon. I was by myself over by Belmont and Rockwell, and it's beautiful over there.
What do you? Have you guys talked to the Theater on the Lake?
Yes.
That's about using that space.
Yes, we are.
I think this is going to be, if it's up to you guys, in the theater and dance world and music world, I think this is going to be an incredible space for the city.
My wife's Felons and Familia will get a development workshop there in July of 2018. It's a gem, and
they did a great job there.
Yeah, and I know you had a big part of that, and it's
one of my first earmarks as a congressman, but we never spent the money. It was just
for
sitting
new seats or something, right? Was that what it was?
No, it was actually to fix it up, and I went to see what's the company that's based on Ashland?
Neo-Futurists.
Yes, I saw them there, and Maud, whose children danced with our children, came up to me and says, we have to get money to fix this up. Da, 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 da. I went and got him money. And then I went to Mike Kelly once. I said, well, what's going on with the money? He goes, well, it's sitting in the account. I said, well, when do we, So I had to run to mayor to spend the money I got as a congressman. That's how
I've been there. It's a
space.
state-of-the-art venue. One of the coolest things, though, is that they put that wall of glass. So you have the lake, there.
So
then they have curtains and it can go away.
I brought Amy there. We saw it during the day, kind of 4 o'clock, and stayed as it became dusk, and then the city lights of the building lit up. It is a beautiful perspective on the city.
It is.
And so, Anthony Moseley, Collaboraction, husband of
Sandra Delgado,
one of the Rushmore women of Chicago. Keep it up, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for making Chicago home.
Hey, it'll always be my home. Sandra and I aren't going anywhere. We may take a gig every now and then from New York and LA, but we'll be back.
You're allowed a work visa out of the city.
I appreciate that.
All future contacts, you leave dance out of your portfolio. All right, man. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Chicago Stories.
You're listening to Chicago Stories with Mayor Rahm Emanuel. You can subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts and tweet your guest ideas using #ShyStories. Thanks for listening.